Another week, another new accent debuted by Kamala Harris. Yes, the Democratic nominee continues to hilariously chop and change her accent based on where she is and who she's talking to. This comes as Miss Harris was blasted for her first visit to the southern border in 3 years, conveniently just weeks out from the election. Sky News All Stars Megyn Kelly, Macpherson and Sharri Markson take a look at Kamala Harris's latest stuff-ups, from changing accents to border blunders. It seems every time Kamala Harris speaks to a new audience, she unveils a new accent. And this was no different when she spoke to the All the Smoke Productions podcast with 2 black hosts.
Friends, my best friend from kindergarten is still one of my best friends.
That's crazy.
Right? Stacey Johnson.
Yeah, that's dope. I love it.
We used to go to the clubs and her Father Seville.
Yeah.
This commentator slammed the noticeably different accent, saying VP Kamala Harris appeared on All the Smoke Productions and seemed to adopt a noticeably different speaking style during the interview. New accent, same empty words. The only thing she hasn't tried yet is actually fixing the problems. Kamala Harris's changing accents have become a running joke of this election, says Sky News All-Star Megyn Kelly.
How do you feel about all of the fake accents that Kamala comes up with? It's very Hillary Clinton, isn't it?
I'm so grateful to her for them. I mean, what kind of a race would this be? Thank God we have characters like this in the news, Paul. What would you gotta laugh, right?
Yes,
it can't be all like the horrors of, abortion and Gaza. Like, we need our levity, and she is the perfect vehicle. God love her. I don't know what to expect next. I'd love to see her meet the Queen. Is she gonna go full British royal family? I haven't heard that one. I mean, she's got the Indian roots. Maybe we could hear some of that. Let's hear the Indian accent. I don't know what we're gonna get next, but I await it with bated breath, because the mashups of her switching, or as the New York Times or whatever the publication was, her effective code switching, they love it. If Donald Trump did that in front of a black audience, tried to make himself sound like he had an urban accent, he'd be getting called a racist for days. But she can do it even though she doesn't talk like that. I can't wait to see what she does next. She's very good at it, and it's highly entertaining.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've got to laugh, because otherwise it's all too much.
And the changing accent wasn't the only blunder during her latest podcast interview. The hosts asked Kamala Harris about her economic plan, a question she's been asked countless times and also failed to answer countless times. And this was no different.
Going from a show to a whole entire company, what is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So, look, I grew up, my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities.
To add to Kamala Harris's week of blunders, the Democratic nominee visited the southern border for the first time in 3 years, leading Sky News All-Star Sharri Markson to blast the photo op.
Let's turn to news out of the United States now, and let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Kosha, Kamala Harris visited the southern border for the first time in 3 years. Look, this is being called a photo op, and of course it is one, because Kamala's being accused of not caring about the border until she actually needed to for her campaign. She tweeted that as president, I will secure our border and will work to fix our broken system of immigration. But Kosha Garda, she's been in office. This has been in her remit. So surely voters aren't buying this.
It wouldn't appear to when we look at the polls and the movements and everything that's happening and the tightening that's happening there. You know, this is part of her strategy. We've seen it where it's generally light on policy. There's a couple things that she points to. And on the border, she points to this bill that was supposedly somewhat bipartisan that was trying to be passed recently and got scuttled, and she blames Trump for that, even though Trump isn't anywhere in the government. So that's kind of what she's trying to say, like, hey, we had this great thing, it failed, when I come in, I'm going to change it. But to your point, people aren't blind. It's very well understood what the illegal immigration problem is in the U.S. right now. There was a damning report that came out from ICE the other day of criminally charged and convicted people that have been let into the country. There are anecdotal situations that we see in Springfield, Ohio, and Nantucket, and elsewhere. So I don't quite think it's going to work, but it sounds like that's the tune she's going to continue to sing in the 32 days we have left.
Tulsi Gabbard agreed, saying, "Shameless, no other way to describe Kamala Harris's photo op at southern border, promising to secure it after allowing 10+ million illegal aliens in the past 3.5 years as border czar. A shameless person feels no shame because they have no conscience. That's Kamala Harris." Sky News All-Star Caleb Bond doubled down on this, pointing out her tone deafness, wearing a $62,000 Tiffany's necklace during the visit.
Now, Kamala Harris made her first visit to the southern border since 2021 because, of course, she's now trying to portray herself as being tough on illegal immigration, despite the fact that she was hopeless as Joe Biden's border czar. But it seems she's failed to send the message she wanted because the internet went sleuthing on her necklace, and many believe that it was a Tiffany & Co necklace, which costs about $62,000 US, which is about 90,000 Australian. And of course, she's been going on about how, you know, Evelyn, I grew up in a middle-class suburb and everyone cared for their lawn. So if you're going to go down to the Mexican border to surveil all these desperate people trying to get over to the other side, well, why wouldn't you go in a Tiffany necklace?
Yeah, look, it's not the smartest political move, but I don't think that she's got much more than a couple of brain cells going on upstairs based on some of the speeches she's given throughout her political history. But look, how can people want another 4 years of this? It does kind of make a mockery and a joke of the situation. I think what's this, only her second visit or something to the border in her entire...
She lives in California, like you've got a better chance of getting to the border by accident.
Yeah. And Sky News All-Star James Macpherson also blasted Kamala Harris's latest stunt, saying she is gaslighting Americans.
The great irony on top of all that we've just talked about is Kamala Harris is now repositioning herself to be the one to save the day and to secure the border and make sure everything is going to be okay, despite the fact she's been in charge for the last 3.5 years and done absolutely nothing. But the rebranding of Kamala continues apace. She recently released a tweet. How's this for gaslighting the American public? As Attorney General of California, I prosecuted transnational criminal organisations that trafficked guns, drugs and human beings. I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. She could have added in brackets, which is why I allowed 13,000 murderers into the country. But she continued, today, I love this, today I visited the US-Mexico border. Hasn't been there much while she's been Vice President, but today, yeah, with an election looming, she visited and spoke with Customs and Border Protection officials about our progress to secure our border and disrupt the flow of illegal fentanyl into our nation. And I can tell you, the Border Patrol officials were so thankful for her visit, so encouraged by it, and they are full of optimism that this represents a new day for the United States, as represented by this tweet from the Border Patrol Union. Get a go, look at this. This is their response. Vice President Harris has ignored the border problem she created for over 3 years. She goes down there for 20 minutes for a photo op and decides to repeat some of the things the NPBC has said before. But again, where's she been for the last 3.5 years? Kamala Harris is almost, Liz, repositioning herself as the challenger. In fact, her running mate, Tim Walz, said the other day, we can't have another 4 years of this, which was a Freudian slip, of course, because the last 4 years has been Kamala Harris. It's almost like she's running against herself.
Yeah, well, Trump has joked, I've got to get this woman a MAGA hat because she's now just copying from my playbook. She's going to be strong on the border all of a sudden. Unbelievable.